Welcome back. It's now time for our discussion in the studio. Like we said, before we went on the break, there is a need for everyone to be part of this particular episode of Daybreak. Now, let me start this way. There's a popular saying where I come from that you can tell a blind man that there's no oil in the soup, but you can't tell the man that there's no salt because his mouth is not blind. Now, we all know the struggles the Nigerians are going through to ensure that they have or give their family a balanced diet during this inflation and, of course, high cost of commodities in the market is not getting any better, as it were. To help understand how we can actually navigate our diets, ensuring that we give our family the best despite the hurdles this period, we shall be taking a look at a very important topic, which is food and nutrition, planning best diets during the inflation. And to help us understand this, we have a guest in the house, a professional. She is Dr. Justina Oghenerioborue Ogboru. She is the Dean, Student Affairs, Department of Home Economics and Home Management at DME Federal University of Education, Ondo State. It's so nice to have you on the show.
Thank you.
It's always nice when we have a female come on the show with us. So we all know what Nigerians are going through this season. Inflation is almost 44%, something we've never seen before in our history as a people. And commodities keep increasing. Only recently, a small mudu of gari is now 2,000 naira, and by tomorrow morning, we do not even know what we'll hear. Be that as it may, we would want you as a food and nutrition professional to help us understand, before we delve into the nitty-gritty today, what a balanced diet is and how we should go about it.
Thank you, moderator. We know food is one of the essential needs of man for survival. And for man to be healthy, he needs to eat a balanced diet. And what is a balanced diet? A balanced diet is having the 6 classes of nutrients in equal proportions. And anyone's nutritional need depends on the age and the sex. The nutritional need of a child is different from that of an adult because the child is still developing, is growing. So there are changes that are bound to take place, like the development of the brain, the heart, and of course, when that infant gets to an adolescence, there's always a change in the pattern of the diet, because that of a boy is different from that of a girl, because the girl loses blood monthly, she needs to replenish the blood. So it differs. Also, the diet of an adult differs from that of a pregnant woman or a lactating mother. A lactating mother is a mother who is breastfeeding. So for us to be healthy, you need to eat balanced diet, because these 6 nutrients have their different functions
in the body.
Though there are ones you need in minute quantity, and those are the vitamins and the minerals. You get them from fruits and vegetables, but you must get them on daily basis in minute quantity.
At this point, personally, I tend to wonder what are the key principles of a healthy diet, and how can we apply this daily in our lives?
Okay, the healthy diet is that your food or your meals, the meals are not the prepared food, must contain the 6 nutrients on daily basis. The 6 nutrients, what are they? Protein, carbohydrates, vitamins, mineral salts, water, raw fish, fats, and oil. And these you have it in different categories of food. Call them food classes. You have beans, from, and I just want our audience to know that a food can contain more than one nutrient, but the predominant nutrient is what is used to classify that food. You understand?
Yes.
Like your beans is classified as a protein because it has carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates in beans. But because the protein there is predominant, higher in quantity, that is why it's classified as a protein. Likewise, your meat. Your meat also contains fats. You know, fats, which is different from oil. So, like your rice is classified as carbohydrate because you have a lot of starch
in it
and sugar. Rice contains sugar too. So that is it. Like water is also food. Our body constituents is made of water, which of course carry your blood cells and all that to other places. So water is a nutrient, and we need water daily, not only to quench our thirst, but also to help circulate the nutrients and whatever around the body.
Now, before we go deep, because I know we have a lot of questions that we want to ask, but it is important after telling us all this, how to prepare our foods. Take, for example, vegetables. A lot of people do not know how to prepare vegetables or your vegetable soups, which we eat all the time. We have different shoko, ugu, green, water leaf, and of course our favorite soup, erikaikong, that we eat. But a lot of people do not know how to, even how to boil rice. It came as a shock that some people do not know how to boil, the proper ways to boil rice. Just randomly, could you give us a little bit of talk on how to prepare our food and why it is important to know how to prepare certain foods so we can retain nutrients, so the nutrients are not wasted, which we do most of the time. We overcook and cook. We warm and warm. For 7 days we're warming. So the implication of that, or how to do it, and the implication.
One thing I want us to understand is that the most expensive food is not the most nutritious food. Okay? What I mean by the most expensive food, like for instance, you have chicken. It's expensive. But you also have crayfish, which is less expensive. It has a great nutritional value
than chicken.
Understand? So, the most expensive food is not the most nutritious food. Let's take for instance again milk. The one we buy, go to the shelf and buy, and soya bean. Soya bean contains about 44% of protein, unlike the milk. You understand? So, and then you may have the money to purchase the food, but method of cooking can also destroy the nutrients, and at the end of the day you don't get the required nutrients needed by your body. So how do we prepare these foods? We have different methods of cooking. We have those that are conservative, that is, they conserve the nutrients, and we have those who make your food tasty, like frying. You know, when you fry meat, it's more tastier than the boiled one, but that frying destroys the nutrients. So that's why we advise people do not eat too much of fried foods, because the nutrients are destroyed. It's use of high heat. Then there's a nutrient that is so volatile that even if you squeeze an orange that contains vitamin C through the air, it can escape. That is why when you squeeze your orange, immediately you take it. You don't refrigerate, squeeze juice for too long, because the nutrients depreciate. Yes. So there are those that heat easily destroy, like that vitamin C. Once you heat it,
it's gone.
It's gone. Then coming to, I understand the way some of us prepare vegetables. At the end, you lose the nutrients needed. the best way to prepare vegetables, though we have vegetables that are eaten raw, okay, they are not toxic, and we also have vegetables that are toxic, but you need to boil them to reduce
Toxicity.
yes, from it. For instance, bitter leaf, okay, for instance, your ephiri scent leaf contains a lot of mercury, so it's not advisable to eat it raw. What you do is you boil it, you know, in a low heat, or you blanch it, you soak it for some time. So now, how do we prepare some of this food to retain their nutrients? Let's take, for instance, the vegetables. You know, the vegetables we have in this climate is you heat, you boil, okay? So how do you retain the nutrient? Most people will bring, let me take water leaf for instance. Water leaf is very safe to drink raw. You grind it, you can take it raw, there's no problem. It's the safest vegetable, water leaf. You can take it raw, you can cook it. So how do we do? You find out that some people after harvesting, you know, they cut and again sun dry. You understand? By then, you know, it's chlorophyll, and once oxidation takes place, it turns black. Especially when that vegetable has iron. For instance, ewedu too. You know, there are two types of ewedu. The other type contains a lot of iron. So when you blend it and you expose it to the air, oxidation takes place and it turns black, dark in color. So how do we take care of our vegetable to retain the nutrient? What you do is pick your vegetables from the stalk, wash them thoroughly, put them to drain, and then you cut. When your soup is almost done or cooked, you spread it on top of the soup to allow the heat it like maybe 3 minutes before putting it down. When you find out that your vegetable is green, to be green, then you can now just turn
before you eat it.
Before you eat. At times, if I want to eat rice with vegetable, I make sure I spread it on top of the rice. So it's going to steam it. The steam is now what is cooking it. So it's not going to change the color from green
so
to
you can now have
brown.
a nutrient in
Yes.
food.
When you see vegetables that are brown, they are overcooked.
And they've lost all
The nutrients. And then when you cut your vegetable before washing, you find out that
it's green. The water is green.
In the water.
So they've lost all its value. The best way to prepare vegetables is not to cut before washing. Is to wash before cutting. And not to boil excessively. You first of all cook the entire soup before you now add the vegetables on top, which are spread over, and you time 2 minutes max, 3 minutes. You put down. Interesting.
I guess it's safe to say we should actually charge a fee for this session right now. I really get educated already.
Yes.
I really must say.
A lot of people make mistakes.
Yes. Then one of the reasons they say they have to wash their, you know, water leaf is slimy to an extent. It's a nutrient. So if you don't want it to be slimy, you pick the vegetable, you still leave it in the stalk. You can wash, rinse if you so desire, or if it's from a very clean environment, you can leave it indoors to be dehydrated. That is the water
coming off. So that's
and after 2-3 days, you see that the water leaf is so dry. Let me use the yes.
Well,
and then you can now cut.
It's good to know water leaf could be blended and then drank.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, like I said, we ought to pay a fee at this moment. So, how does nutrition tend to impact our overall health and well-being? And what are some of the misconceptions we have as regarding nutrition?
Okay. Nutrition.
Take two.
Come on.
Take two.
Okay.
Please help mommy hold her phone.
Just please. You see, what is nutrition?
No, just hold on, ma.
Okay.
Hold on, ma.
What is nutrition? Nutrition is the science of right feeding. Okay. Mm, good nutrition is necessary if you want to be healthy. Once you have the required nutrition, recommended dietary allowance, there are nutrients needed on daily basis by our bodies. Once you have them, I bet you hardly go to the doctor, except for external environmental issues like malaria, caused by mosquito. If you feed well, you stay healthy. Food is medicine, and medicine is food.
That's interesting. Now let us get a little bit serious now. And I'm going to start with the statistic that I started with earlier. It says that Nigerians' inflation rate surged to 33.95% in May 2024, up from 33 to 69% in April 2024, according to the latest Consumer Price Index CPI report released by the National Bureau of Statistics. Now, this is the reality that we face as Nigerians. When we started, I did say I got a shocker of my life to realize that a small mudu of gari is now 2,000 naira. But Nigerians still want to have a balanced diet. But the prices at the market, the economic situation in the country, it's not making it easy for Nigerians. So a lot of people are confused at this time to ensuring that the standard that they give to themselves and their family is maintained, but the pocket is not smiling. So as a professional, you did tell us now that the food doesn't need to be expensive to be nutritious. And that is our focus for today. How to navigate this inflationary period in our history as a people and still be able to give our family the best with the little that we have. And that is where we want you to help us today. How do we begin to get this done? How do we use as minimal amount of money as possible to still get the nutrient that we need when we go to the market? So by that question will be answered when we return after the break. So don't go anywhere because the conversation is about to get serious. Stay with us. Welcome back once again. Now we want to wait for the answer from our guest. Before the break, we did ask her to now tell us how we can use that small amount of money in our wallet to ensure that we give our family the same nutrient that we have. Because again, she told us that the food doesn't need to be expensive to be nutritious. Now we want her to actually explain how we can achieve that.
Thank you, moderator. What we are having now is hyperinflation. No salary increase, yet the price of food keeps soaring. Years back, we used to hear poor man food, poor man food. Is gari still poor man's food? No. So everybody is having the bite, irrespective of income brackets. Now, this issue has to be addressed from different perspectives, from the government perspective and from individual perspective. First, if you are a young family that is just coming up, you have to set your goals to the realities of the time, economic realities of the time. If you are planning to have 6 children, you have to plan to have like 2 for now to cut cost of living expenses. Apart from that, you have to, the first thing you do is menu plan.
Menu plan?
Yes, we call it meal planning. At times you just come up, I'm going to eat rice and stew this morning. I'm going to eat a goosey chicken soup with eba this afternoon. I'm going to eat fried rice. And no. You have to sit down to plan your menu. And when you are planning your menu, you have to think of the number of members in the family, their ages, their likes and dislikes, okay, their nutritional requirements, and then you will be able to draw meals a day that will have a kind of give you a balance in costing. You cannot just take all expensive meals throughout a day. It will be too expensive. So you have to alternate with high cost, low cost, and all that. Though some families may take 2 a day, 2 meals a day, some 3 meals a day, those who can still afford it. Then some maybe once a day, because we are experiencing real inflation. So the first thing you have to do is to plan your menu.
So let me understand. I'm sorry to cut you. So we need to, as a family, husband, wife, children, sit down with pen and paper and a calculator and draw up from Monday to Sunday.
Yeah.
If it's a 2-meal plan, it should be tabulated 2 meals, breakfast, no lunch, dinner. Then the food I'll be eating on Monday, Tuesday to Sunday, we outline it, and then between the husband and the wife, there is we make the calculation roughly of what that meal will,
of what
the estimate.
Cost. Yes.
Interesting, Ezekiel.
At this point, I really tend to wonder what should be some of the simple swap one could have or make in order to achieve this nutritional health.
She's still telling us the plan.
We're still on the plan.
Yes, we're still on the plan.
We are still on the plan.
Okay.
Your plan should contain variety of foods. And one thing that will help you cut costs is incorporating food in season. Food in season are cheaper. Like if you want to buy old yam now, you know how much it will cost you.
Compared to the new one.
New yam.
Which is still
understand?
Soft.
Okay. Then you also have to think about convenience food. Most people incorporate convenience food today. Convenience food could be prepared by you, could be bought from the chef. And we all know that all factory foods are expensive. You understand? So you have to alternate by going for fresh foods that you can buy from local markets that will reduce
the cost.
You know how much sardine costs? Okay? Like if I love geisha, I love eating geisha. Yes, I can substitute by preparing my own geisha. How do I do that? I just go and buy mackerel, though it's still expensive, but it's less expensive than
the tin
and
one.
it can go for members of the family. I put it in tomato sauce. And the tomato is even too expensive. So I can prepare it in my own way to still have that taste of geisha, unlike buying from
the supermarket.
The supermarket, because cost of production is added to what you are buying.
Isn't it better even buying it fresh instead of going?
It's better buying fresh, but for the sake of parents who go to, probably 2 of them are engaged in work aside the home. You understand? And this convenience food, they are easy to prepare foods. You just preheat them or whatever, and then straight on you eat. In those days, we used to open geisha and make eba to eat the geisha. You understand? Instead of making soup.
Very convenient during boarding house. When you go to the boarding house.
Yes. Even in homes.
Even in
we
homes
do that.
too. Yes.
When we return from school and food is not ready, what
just
you do? Just open geisha, heat it. At times you can just put onions, put a little, make your eba.
You are ready.
And then you are ready to go. You understand? Now making a pot of soup is so expensive. In my growing up, when some things are like that, my mother will just, let me take this kind of beans, let me make bean soup. It's also bean porridge, and at the same time you are using eba or fufu, whatever, to eat it. Protein is there. You understand? Because on daily basis you must have protein in your meal, minerals and vitamins. Because these vitamins are what protect your body against diseases. So you need them in minute quantity. If I cannot afford to buy a whole watermelon, I can go to the seller. We have to be careful too. The way some of these people cut the watermelon, expose it to flies or whatever. You can go there and say, please cut this in my present. I want to buy this quantity. You are sure of the hygiene, yes, of of that food. These things, we need them in minute. You might not need 5 oranges a day to get the required vitamin C. It might be 1 or 2, because if you take 5, it's in excess and you are going to excrete it. You understand? So in our climate, we don't really have way of measuring foods, the nutrients, calculating the nutrients to take. You understand? But you must have the 6 nutrients on daily basis. Soya milk is cheaper than milk. So you go for soya milk. You can make it into soya milk. You can make it into tofu for as a meat to eat in your soup. It's another way out. So you have to substitute your meals based on the income at hand. And another way that will help families is home gardening. When you have, I always advise people, when you build a house, please leave space for planting. It could be economic trees like mango, orange, soursop. Me, I love nature. I love farming. I love gardening. So in my surroundings, I have a lot of things that I don't actually go to the market to buy. Like I have plantain all around. I have mango. I have banana, pawpaw, you know, all those things. So if you have a house or a plot of land, please leave some space. Leave some space for all these vegetables. You find out that most of these vegetables we even buy from markets, they are grown with fertilizers.
Which are harmful to the body.
Yes, which is harmful to the body. And they don't even allow those chemicals to break down before harvesting them. So at the end of the day, you are the one consuming them and become toxic, harmful to the body.
So I just learned from Anire, a plate of Gary is now 2,000 naira. I have no idea what beans would cost, or probably rice. I heard for a fact rice is over 100,000 for a bag, or is it less now? Over 100,000 for a bag. I tend to wonder what could be some of these simple swaps we could have for a family that could not afford a plate of beans. So yeah, I don't know if it's 3,000 now or before.
Is above 3,000. I think 3, beans is about, red beans is about 4,000 to 4,500 now.
It's really a good seasonal station right
And
now.
the last time I bought beans, it was 2,500. Gary was 1,003, 1,005 was the last time I went to the market.
So with all this, what could be, say, the simple swap for family that cannot afford beans or rice, or maybe the old yam, nor the new yam?
What is even cheap now? That's my question. What is cheap? Rice is not cheap. Beans is not cheap. Like I started with, in those days, they say certain categories of foods are poor man's food. Is it cocoa yam you want to buy? You have like 5, 6 seeds for 1,000 or 2. You see potato. The gari that is even poor man's food is no longer poor man's food. You understand?
So we have no simple swaps at all.
You don't have any simple swap.
There was this swap you gave to us. You talked about soybeans
for milk.
For milk.
And okay, like even the soya bean. I don't know the current price, but it's also expensive.
It's also expensive. Okay, so
how does food now affect say mental energy and clarity?
You see, you know, when the body is deprived of these nutrients, deficiencies come in, malnutrition and all those stuff. You understand? People are not actually consuming the nourishing food they ought to take to maintain, to be in optimal health, because the prices of these things are too expensive. The way out is farming. Farming. You know, one of the problems we are experiencing, I don't know if I can say this on set, is that from the southeast, southwest, south, we depend so much on the north for all our food production. There are certain kinds of beans we used to have in my place. Today you can't see them because
That beans you use to eat starch.
My sister.
When it's sweet, well.
Sweet. You understand?
Nowhere to be found.
Oh, nowhere to be found. You can't even have the seedlings again. You get it? So we depended so much on the north, and because of this insecurity, there is food shortage. So what do? You have to plant your food. I harvest yam from my own farm. I produce gari. Okay.
For your home?
Maybe after. Okay, later. From my farm, from my compound where I live on campus. Yes, you will get there. I have lemon, I have orange, I have guava. Guava is a complete vitamin C substitute. You see, there is one problem, and I'll use this avenue to appeal to Ondo city citizens to, when you look at the environment, they hardly plant all these things around their homes. Apart from the food you will derive from it, the greenery, the oxygen it gives out in the night, you breathe in and they take on the carbon dioxide, which makes you have really good blood circulation. So food production, home gardening is essential. Animal husbandry, snaring, all those things will help you cut costs. Price of food is high, but there's no increase in salaries. So is there any poor man food any longer? In those days, people don't eat beans because they believe beans is for the poor man. Even on ripe plantain in those days, until people knew the nutritional benefit of plantain, that they started rushing. Before, where will you see a big man going for unripe plantain? Cocoyam.
No
they classify it as now.
In my house, let me tell you a funny story. So, being someone from the Delta State, rather, and anytime my mom cooks cocoyam, then we used to, especially the red one, we used to relish it. So when we want more, we scream, the way children are. Mommy, we want more cocoyam. She will hit us, tell the world that I prepared cocoyam, because then cocoyam was a poor man's meal. Hide me. But now you can buy it, or you can buy. We love Momo because it's something that was rare in my house. So anytime she prepares Momo, Mom, we want Momo. Oh my God, hide me. The entire street is eating Momo, but you won't hear their children scream. Hide me. But now you can hardly buy Momo. You can't buy cocoyam. You can't buy anything.
Is it the crayfish?
I can't remember the last time I used crayfish.
Just a bit of mental clarity. What food can help one with productivity and focus? Is there more like a class or example?
With low budget,
of course, low budget. Yeah. Emphasis on low budget.
Like I said, protein food, the animal class is expensive. We have first class protein, we have second class protein. Second class protein is from the vegetable family, where you have your beans, your legume, your granules. You can use granule to prepare soup. Okay, and is the granules cheap?
I got to Ondo and discovered that 10 seeds of granules is 50 naira. 10 seeds.
So is the granule still cheap? Nothing is so the way forward, or the way to survive the situation is one, home gardening, because it will help you save some money you can use to buy other things. Then I want to plead with parents, because there's something we research on, and we find out that most of the children, when they go to school, they are not given breakfast. Even when their parents pack their meals, they will tell them, please don't touch this meal until after break. So how will that child concentrate in the class? Breakfast is very essential, in that you need it to activate the system. Throughout the night, the body rested, so you need to activate it for vitality for the day. So breakfast is essential. And a way out too is appraising your goals. When I mean goals, there are goals of building a house, wanting to buy a car. You know, children are investments. You understand what I'm saying? They are investment. So if you can cut down on other goals and focus on the nutrition of your family, the better for you. You know, if you feed children well, the tendency of going to see the doctor
is minimized.
Is minimal.
We want to thank our guests for being on the show today. Time is never our friend. I keep saying it because I'm just beginning to enjoy the conversation. We've been speaking with Dr. Justina Oghenerioborue Ogboru. She is the Dean, Student Affairs, Department of Home Economics and Home Management at FWED. We appreciate you so much for honoring our invite.
Thank you.
That's all time we'll take on the show. I am Anire Binitie. Thanks for watching.
And I remain Ezekiel. All you have to have a great day.
Bye.